Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with some Division 4 action. It is a Friday night, so good evening to all you fellow people. So, yeah, we're back. I'm on my own for the moment, and yeah, we're back with some Division 4 action. I am back in the booth, and it's going to be amazing because I'm definitely one of the best broadcasters in this league. We have, we have Christian Cummings putting some really solid performances up recently for Red Bull. Currently in the P1 spot for the title race so far. We have MV8 that's came back for the last 3 races, and I think he's in tonight. Coming off back with a win. He's only 10 points behind with Aero, who is currently 12 points behind Christian Cummings. So this top 3 is going mad right now. It's going to be interesting to watch. And we're going to hop in. I hope that's the right screen. Let me just double check. Yeah. Right, so yeah. So we actually have one of the OGs back in the cockpit tonight. We have OG in the Alfa Romeo with one of his best friends in the league, Buffalo Trace. And talking about Buffalo Trace, I've been told that he is a fraud. Telling people he was using the race, not using the racing line, but I've figured out he has been. So hashtag Buffalo Trace is a fraud. We have Kaganis, the Williams driver, who actually got a decent result last week. Top P2, I think, after spinning out on lap 1. So a really solid performance from him with a 17.3. Maybe not the best time so far, but we will soon find out. We're going to hop on board with Aero. Coming down to sector 3, coming down to the last 2 turns in 4th gear, trying to get the throttle on early. Goes a little bit wide. Not any invalidation now, coming to the line. It's a 16.8. We're going to hop on board with not him, MVA. Fastest sector 1 currently coming down to turn 7. 6th gear to 7th. Ooh. Bit of a spin, but is what it is. I'm sure he will definitely get top 3 for tonight. We actually missed out on Christian Cummings, Dr. So Good, nabbing provisional pole currently off Aero by 2 tenths, or less than 2 tenths. So solid start for him. We've got Buffalo Trace, fraud himself, going really slow through that turn. I need to get the track map up. Maybe just do that. I do apologise. I am currently ill and was not going to get a D4 tonight. But however, I do try and provide as much racing action as possible for this league. So yeah, we do have OG coming on a lap, coming down to Piratella. I'm sure you already know I've now got the track map up. Goes a bit wide, invalidates his lap. He had some traffic in the way as well, so I am sure he can get Hetrosy a penalty point for that. Anyone in OG's way, automatic penalty. we've got 17 drivers tonight, so not a full house, but it's close enough. Got Ben in P7 currently, too bad for him. Just trying to find who's on a lap, if OG is or not. So no one's actually on a lap currently. If OG did put a lap in, there'll be a 16.7, which would put him P4. So I said it here, boys. I said it to him earlier. He's going to be in the booth, whether he finishes or not. So we will definitely speak to him later on tonight. But yeah, we do have Hetrosy on a lap now, coming down to Tosa. In the shiny brand new Mercedes, and talk about Mercedes, there's been a switch up in a lot of divisions. D1, Luke Locklear and Major Castleman have both left the league. Fallouts with myself and Duncan, so I'm in Luke Locklear L. He maybe getting a bit of dirty air as he's coming up with OG. Currently goes a little bit wide through the second to last turn, and that's going to cost him a lot of time, and this will put around P10, I'd say. Yeah, P10 exactly, so it's interesting as OG's going for another lap. We'll stay on board with him. Coming down to the first chicane of Tamburetto. Now coming out to the second chicane of called Villeneuve. I did not know Villeneuve's from Imola, so interesting. Now this looks like a much more better lap from OG. Fastest sector 1 currently. Running low a bit of that ERS, so we'll see how much he does. And he's in the wall. And I'm sure he's going to be happy about that. But we do have Aero. Not on a lap. Maybe doing 2 warm-up laps. I think do we have stars? We do have stars now. Coming down to Aqua Minerale. Sorry about the pronunciations. I'm coming down to the tricky chicane where you've got to ride the curb, and honestly it's a very hard chicane to do. It's, if you go over the curb too hard, you will get spun out, or you will just lose a car in general. And he's finishing off his lap, looks like a not so great lap, and P12 currently, so room for improvement there. We have B-Boy Simba starting a lap, so we'll go on board with him. Yeah, second as Kevin Magnuson's start before him now, coming down to the chicane. There's too many chicanes to even say, so I'm just going to call it chicane. Right, so I'm back. I was just checking the comments. We've got Ethan Patel in the chat saying about Red Bull, how bad they are. Red Bull in real life has just showed their livery. Really dead livery. I mean, some people were expecting it. I was hoping a bit of changement, like maybe with the colour of blue or navy. But no, it is exactly the same car as last year, so very disappointing. So looking at Red Bull, we've got Leo Hudson currently provisional pole, which I did not even see. So yeah, once again, a really strong Red Bull lineup currently. We've got Cagnis, still P4, improving on his lap. Aero. Across the line, he's going to start his lap. Looks like we've only got 5 minutes left of qualifying. But we're going to go on. Looks like everyone's actually done their lap. Buffalo Trace maybe? Yeah, he's 3 temps up currently. So yeah, we do have Ranger coming in the booth to back me up in a second. So hopefully you don't have to hear my disturbing voice. Yeah, I do apologise. I'm just not really feeling it with it at the moment. But yeah, HSC 9 temps up. He gained from his last lap, P7. Buffalo Trace keeping that P14 spot currently. So Kevin Magnussen once again all on his own. Got no teammate, and you've got to feel for the guy, you know. He's had no teammate this whole season, which is such an L and such a shame. He's definitely struggled this season as well. Not being the season that we thought he would have had after being with Red Bull last season. And I think we do have a John Ranger in the booth right now, am I correct? And he's on mute. So we'll let him set his own.
I'm gonna unmute myself and I'm gonna repeat what I said. And it is I. Hi, Freddy. How are you doing today?
I'm tired, I'm ill. But it's D4, so be interesting.
Yeah, first race of the weekend. Near the ending the qualifying of Imola here. Already a bit surprised to see 2 Red Bulls being 1 and 2 and fairly ahead of the other races. So I'm expecting certain drivers like NVA, Aero, Kaganus to step it up a little bit on their times. They're over 4/10 behind on pole, and sooner or later these guys are going to be coming out for their final lap of the session.
Yeah, it does look like a few people are now coming out for an outlap. I think we've got a reserve driver currently, Yelit. Seems like a new driver. Never seen him before. But I like to see new drivers because you never know how they're going to perform or how they do in a race.
Yeah, new drivers could always throw a little bit of a wrench into the normal circumstances of things here. So, looking at his lab, it looks like he's going safely and tidy through turns 1 and 2, and he's gonna do so the same over here. Oh, doesn't seem to break early here. It goes a little bit wide. I'm surprised he hasn't invalidated his lap going wide on the on his left hand side here. Yeah, it looks like he's taking it cautiously but safely. So hopefully this improves his time, especially with the. Oh, and he's completely wide there. So he's completely missed his braking mark, and I think that I don't know if he's going to improve on his time there. Although it's a 1:17.3, there's still a possibility, but. He had a clean sector 1 there, and coming into sector 2, he bent a little bit, and I think we're gonna move on to somebody else. He's maybe thinking of starting to recharge right away and go for his second lap if he can.
It looks like both Red Bulls are about to start their laps. I think Ben may be on a lap as he comes down to the tricky chicane. Starting sector 3 now. Coming down to the last few corners, but Ben being the only oh no, he's actually got a teammate. Seems like another new driver. It will be interesting to see where he'll finish. Ben P7, not so great. It's good for now, but after people start racking up their laps, I'm sure he'll be finished. But it looks like a lot of people have missed out on the line.
Yeah, I think a couple drivers got caught off guard there, so some people weren't able to go out on to do a fast lap, and that will include Arrow. Arrow had fresh tires on. It's telling me that It's telling me that he's over, but it doesn't look like it's his AI driving. So I'm curious about how.
So just realised both Red Bulls are out, and NBA picking up 3/10 in that last sector, and that puts in provisional pole in a 15.9. Currently, Hokage Rolly P6. That is a great job for him. With Rage P13. So looks like so both Red Bulls are out. We have Kaganis coming down into the last turn in 4th gear, getting the throttle down nicely, having a bit of a slide. Now coming down to the line, he doesn't gain, he just misses out.
Both Red
Stage
Bulls are
B14
going into the pits, so they had an opportunity to improve their time. NVA, who had a phenomenal time, he increased by 5/10 to get the pole position with a 159. He's the only driver to get the 115s in Division 4, and the Red Bulls don't improve on their time, and so they had a 1-2 position, and now they're gonna have to be chasing a Ferrari of NVA, who's won the last race due to post-race penalties, if I remember correctly. And he's really giving Christian Cummins his fight for the championship so far.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like, I mean, MVA was definitely a driver where we all thought coming from D3 down to D4 was going to destroy Division 4. But however, he has missed a few races and making the title fight interesting.
Yeah, he's missed 3 races and he's only 10 points behind Christian Cummins. So we could only imagine what would happen if he had raced those races. And I remember broadcasting last weekend in Austria, and he had a good race, and he mentioned that he was he had the win actually, and NVA mentioned he was going for the championship and he was going to bring the fight to Red Bull, and so far that was a statement lap on his end to get the pole.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ranger, as you are here, and I can give any pole position sitters or predictions as I was on my own. Who do you think is going to win the race?
I listen. NVA is an absolute
Genius.
yes, and I will apologize. For some reason, the game has thrown me off of being spectator and into a car.
Interesting.
So yeah, sorry, I'm sorry about that. I was spectating and the game really just threw me in a car in a race session. So you might have an AI'd car all the way in the back. No, my I think I'm gonna go for Christian Cummins on this one. I think NVA's got an incredible pace, but I think Imola is maybe the track where P2 driver could have an opportunity to overtake and do some damage.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from the Red Bull team principal, Duncan McCamick, saying earlier Christian is flying around this track. Apparently never seen it before. So it'll be interesting to see as we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 lights. We are underway and away we go. NBA getting a solid start. Leo having a shocking start, and Christian Cummings on the medium tyres goes up to P2 as Aero It's jumped up to P4 and a lot of carnage currently. Down to the first chicane. Looks like everyone has stayed clean, so good job, boys. Let's look at the tyres quickly. Gibbs going a little bit wide through Villeneuve. Aero looking like for the switchback doesn't look like he wanted to. He's going to keep P5 at the moment. Leo Hudson currently struggling with those cold tyres. But Christian Cummins currently setting his eyes on a move at MV8. And Ranger, I don't want to say it, but you are currently P13.
I'm currently focused on trying to see if I should get back in there and move the car out of the way.
If it's
Absolutely not expecting the game to do that.
If it's ghosted, you may as well just leave it as it is.
Yeah, well, might be able to get some points for McLaren given that kind of little baffled situation here. As I don't know if something happened there, but it looks like Christian Cummins had a higher top end speed than NVA, and he takes the lead so far. And now that is the Red Bull in P1. NVA is right behind him, and looks like Christian used a little bit more ERS maybe than NVA to defend, and we'll see how these drivers battle it out throughout the race.
So Leo Hudson looking like he wanted a move against Kaginis before turn 1, couldn't get the option there. So really good defending by the Williams driver. And now do we see Christian Cummins putting a solid gap against MVA? Because he's got to make these medium tyres work.
I think that's a strategy to go. As it is in most races, a yellow sector flag and sector 1 and 2. I believe somebody spun out. It looks like it's Captain Cadaver. And yeah, Doctor So Good is Christian Cummins. Sorry, he's already almost put a 1 second gap, and NVA's really got to put on the throttle to the metal here, try to keep that gap, because starting lap 3 DRS is going to be a viable option for these drivers. And he's lost it. And that last 2 corners, there's a 0.3 second gap that's been created. And Christian Cummins sets the fastest laps, and so he's got the medium tires to start with. I think his goal was to really gain a lot of time on NVA before switching over to the hard tires. I personally would have gone, hard mediums instead, but maybe they're running alternate strategies with Leo Hudson, who had started the race himself in P2.
Yeah, so it looks like Leo Hudson is trying to get around that Williams. That Williams is defending crazy at the moment, so this will be interesting for the last podium position for now. So Aero's struggling a little bit to keep up with the pace with these. So maybe something I've just noticed, setup issues with Mercedes, as he was flying when Luke was in the position of the team principal, and now we've got Mr. Rivas back in. Maybe a bit of a change.
Definitely a change, I think, this week's events. Is this a virtual safety car that just got triggered? I'm seeing sector flags throughout the track, and the driver paces has lowered. So yeah, it looks like there's a
VSC.
It looks like a VSC. Yeah, it's not appearing properly on my screen. It's just giving me the yellow flags here, but it looks like a VFC. And there's a couple of events on the back of the grid, by the way, going on with Stars and Buffalo Trace. Going back to Mercedes, as you mentioned it, Freddie, I mean, I think these events this week maybe hindered their practice time. That's showing. In regards to setups, I think a guy like Rivas probably has a couple old contacts in his back pocket that he was able to dial up and find setups. And I think the wonderful tool the internet allows us to get that. As there's a driver, a couple penalties, a penalty given for a drive-through penalty on to Rage, and Yellit, you said the reserve driver in P15 decided to retire in the pits already. 4 laps, and that was it for a reserve driver. He had started the race on the softs, and I don't know if that was purposefully or not, maybe realizing that that was not the strategy to go, he just ended it. But as we're speaking now, if we look back again at our race leader, Christian Cummins has got a 1.5 second and above lead on NVA currently. So that gap is only going to be created, but it's going to be get larger and larger. However, I think once they go through the pit strategies, we're going to see um, NVA having a better pace than Christian Cummins, and that's a second driver who's retired in the pits of Captain Cadaver, who was in the Alpine, if I'm judging the color correctly. So that's it for him. So two drivers already DNFing in the pits, not from incidents, just DNFing in the pits early in the race, which is a bit disappointing, I'd say.
Yeah, disappointing indeed. Two drivers would have been interesting to see what they could come out. Not gonna lie, Ranger, you are currently P10.
I'm having a great time.
Seems like it, but it looks like Aero is not having a good time. Currently losing time compared to the top four and grabbing a 3 second time penalty already.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're already seeing cars. Our first car about to be lapped, I think Stars, FPS, and P16. And he looks ghosted for me, by the way. So I don't know if it's just um,
It looks fine.
connection. Oh, look, he's back. Okay, he looks back. It was he was ghosted for a little bit, and yeah, he had some issues, and it's yeah okay. So blue flags for him. Unfortunately, he's got to let drivers by, but you know what? He's being a pure gentleman there. I'm gonna give him kudos to that. He's being a gentleman, letting the top four go by before turn one, and that is what you're supposed to do when you're being blue flag. And he is doing so again for Aero, so Aero can continue racing, and hopefully he's able to come back out of it and probably finish unlap himself by the end of the race.
Yeah, Ben making a really lovely move on Gibbs as Gibbs outbrakes himself, and he's lost a lot of time. And now Hokage Roldy has gained a lot of time with them two fighting. So that's interesting as Aero's still losing time compared to the top four. Christian Cummins not making the gap I would have thought he would have.
Looks like his turn there in that chicane, and there's somebody that spun around, and that's causing a little bit of chaos there. I think it was Kaganus who had a moment, I believe. Looks like he dropped down from P4, and he had a moment coming out of that final chicane there. And so that probably is why his time went down, because he was at 2 seconds, above 2 seconds for Christian Cummins. And this may be the reason for the strategy. It's something that we got to observe. I just got an information from the paddock. There is possible rain that could appear at the end of the race. I'm not 100% sure, but it is possible rain. Obviously, you know, safety car delays may increase those chances of rain at the end of the race, and we have already seen a virtual safety car, and so that might explain why we have some drivers on medium tires, and they're gonna maybe gonna try to go on long run before going into the rain. That's something that we'll have to observe.
Yeah, so Stars is now getting lapped. So really shocking race for him. Yeah, looks like Christian is now making that solid gap we were expecting. Leo is now losing a bit of time. He's now out of DRS of MVA.
Yeah, he's going to be pushing. He's going to be using his ERS a little bit more, trying to get back into the DRS range. It'll be important for him to do so. But something I want to observe as we're heading into top end speed, and Christian Cummins is really harvesting his batteries so far. He's not used a lot of it. He's actually been able to regain a lot, as he's now sitting nearly 3 seconds ahead of NVA. And I was observing, I don't think they had the same top end speed. I think Christian had a higher top end speed, and that's really what's helping him out here during, on that straight line. Haggis with his moment there, I was just about to say he was he had a moment in the last turns 14 and 15, that last chicane there, and having fallen back in P5 and falling off of Arrow's um, DRS there, he now had Hokage Roldy all in the back of him trying to fight him, but Hokage had a couple moments. And I think there's another lap car that's had a moment, and Kagan just gets a 3-second time penalty. I believe that is Buffalo Trace. Yeah, Buffalo Trace had a bit of a spin there on the uphill corner of turn 12, and he's also a lapped car.
Oh, is that Aero around? It
It
is
is
Aero. Has he got wing damage? No, he does not.
surprising, and he's turned it.
He's turned it
It
around.
looks like he lost it at the chicane as well. Probably tried going above the. Either he went too hard on those yellow bumps and maybe throttled it and lost the rear completely. And that's a dangerous area of the track. You got to be careful. And he's completely used his ERS, and now he's got himself vulnerable to his teammate Petrosy in the back in P12. And so Mercedes, they're not giving us the show we're used to seeing from them so far.
Yeah, it could also affect him later on in the combined constructors with Aston Martin. If Aston Martin gets really good points from today. But yeah, it looks like Leo's got back in that DRS range with MVA. Could maybe try and put some pressure on MVA so his teammate can run away with it. But
Leo's got a critical role in this situation, as you've mentioned. If he is able to get up to NVA, even if he doesn't get past him, but he's able to battle for position, NVA currently, he's got to use his ERS not only to catch up to Christian Cummins, who's now at 3.2 seconds differential. Well, now he's got to defend himself for Leo Hudson, who's gaining on him over the last 3 laps. And so Leo could potentially help Christian Cummins get that increased gap he's really looking for, because when NVA does the switch for the pits, and it is him on the mediums and then Christian Cummins on the hards, assuming the entire race is dry, we're going to see difference of pace, and that's going to be better for NVA there on the tire strategy. Leo Hudson had a little bit of moment and lost some time, but he's back at it again. He's got to adjust his driving because dirty air here on these high-speed corners does affect your car quite a lot.
So it looks like there's a hatch receiver around.
Ooh,
does that bring out the safety car? Oh, it does.
It does. And that brings out the safety car. He looks like he completely lost it. I think that is coming out of turn 6. Yeah, he's lost it completely. I think it's Aaron Green or B-Boy Simba on my end from what I'm seeing. He just drove by him and it looks like he lost the rear coming out of that corner and lost his wheel and has terminal damage in that aspect. And I think this favors, yeah, the Red Bulls are going in. And so that favors Christian Cummins, who's going to jump on. Is that a second fresh set of mediums? And he could go at a second fresh set of mediums there. So I think he's really expecting rain. And that is the same thing that Leo Hudson is doing. On his end, NVA, he's going to stay out in P1, currently leading the safety car pack.
There's a lot
Interesting
of pits.
strategy.
A lot of pitters currently as Stars gets a drive through.
Yeah.
So yeah, once again, that Mercedes DNF helps Aston Martin.
Most definitely. And now Hokage Roldy finds himself in P2. It's not a definitive P2 for the race. We know that strategies are going to come in play, but you never know what could happen, and that, you know, plays out for him. And Rage also is in P13. He's going into the pits currently, and he's, if I believe, one of the newer drivers for Aston Martin. So he's just got to focus on finishing his race, and maybe if he could get a top 10 position, you know, Aston Martin would be really happy. And like, he seems to have damage on his front wing as well. He replaced his front wings in the pit, and so that is a lucky safety car for him in that regards. And so, yeah, I think Aston Martin has a position here to definitely catch up to constructors compared to Mercedes.
So as we've got a safety car, I think it's going to be perfect time for you to retire your car.
Oh, you know what? Most definitely.
Um, yeah,
Can I?
see if you can. You probably will be able to.
I'm gonna have to back out and then come back. So let me try to see if I could do that. You know, maybe I should just do the race with my keyboard and see how I favor against these guys.
You can try.
No, I don't think the moderators would enjoy me for doing that, but I will try to see if I could safely. As I'm doing so, is it me or I'm just gonna wait until I am okay. I believe from the looks of things, from following the pack here, the safety car is gonna be. Yeah, that'll be it for the safety car.
Absolutely amazing driving there.
Yep, just wanted to. Okay.
Looks like you may have just.
We are in the clear, so that is good. And I could say spectator. All right, now we're back in business. Okay, so safety car is not in. We're not back in racing, but I do believe that will be the last lap of the safety car in this moment. And so I'm thinking the strategies may have changed now. Some people going for the medium tires again. Will medium tires last 20 laps on this track? It is possible. Might be difficult near the end of the race. But it definitely plays a little bit more as what I've spoken earlier. Weather. If there is rain incoming near the end of the race, the virtual safety car from earlier and this safety car just made the race last the 5 minutes longer, and that's all the game needs to trigger some more rain. And so that could be something that we're going to see in the dying laps of this race.
Yeah, so yeah, so as you said about the rain, maybe we can try and get some info on when it will be coming in. Safety car is in this lap. I'll give you the vocals of what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to ask my contact to see what we got potentially on weather. Okay, I'm being told, and as you can see it right now. I think the clouds we're like in between the sunshine and the overcast, right? We've got a little bit more um clouds. I'm being told rain is imminent. It is not just possible rain at the end of the race, it is now rain imminent. So that means at any moment from this point on, as there's some drivers having a little bit of moments in the back, and Arrow being down in P10 now, these drivers could have to handle rain at any given moment from now on. And so, for the Red Bull drivers who've jumped into the medium tires currently, the question is, are they? Did they do the right call? Was it too late of a call to go into the pits? If the rain comes immediately, or if can they wait it out just long enough that they catch up to NVA? Because right now they got to drive through traffic. Christian Cummins is sitting there in P5. He's got 3 drivers in front of him before reaching NVA, and he's got the potential of catching them up. But you got to overtake them, and the best overtaking spot on this track is on that main straight with the DRS. And so that might take him a couple of laps and give the time for NVA to maybe create a gap up front.
Yeah, so they both have made positions. Looks like Christian is now on the move for Gibbs, trying to seek for a move into turn 1, but a little bit too far back. But he does get the run on Gibbs.
It's gonna be an aggressive move here.
Gibbs
Great
lets him
overtake
by.
on Christian Cummins there on Gibbs. Gibbs did the right move to not try to cut him off in that corner there. And Leo Hudson's going to try to follow. And a little bit of a wheel bump there on Gibbs. And so both Red Bulls just fly through the AlphaTauri driver. Gibbs absolutely emptied his ERS trying to battle Christian Cummins. He's already at 25%. And Christian Cummins still has half the battery. And so his next target is going to be Ben in P3, who's on the tail of Hokage Roldy there. I'm pretty sure the Red Bull engineers has told them push now before the rain comes, and so that's going to be really important. And now the idea here and the question is, some of these drivers don't have as much top end speed compared to some others. Could this be because they're anticipating rain, and so maybe added an extra bit of downforce on their setups? That could change things a lot here.
Oh, Ben goes a little bit deep into turn 1. Makes Cargo go into a mistake, and he loses 2 positions. And is that going to be 3? Oh, Hudson pushes him off.
There is, yeah, the Hudson went a little bit too deep on the outside there, and I mean, this track is not very wide, and so even Gibbs on the back of Hokage was trying his best to go through, and Kagan has got through him as well, and so Hokage rolled it in 2 corners, and those 15 lap of hard tires don't have the pace and the medium tire drivers have, and you could clearly see that he's lost just about 3 positions, even 4 positions, I should say, in just about 3 corners there. And so that's something he's got to be careful about, and you got to make those tires last. And now Christian Cummins is within DRS to Ben, but look at the time created to NVA. He's going to have to catch 3.5 seconds to NVA. And so at this point, again, it's all going to be a question of timing of when that rain comes. If it comes now, NVA is the winner in this whole strategy.
Is that NVA going
who's completely? Yeah, he's completely slowed down. What's happened with him? He's in the grass. Oh, I think he's having hardware issues here. He is stopped. What is happening? NVA has left the session. All this strategy talk, and it looks like a Ferrari engine problem has cost the race for NVA. And just as the rain comes, this was his race to win. He had played his cards perfectly, and it looks like he got code mastered or Ferrari engine, whichever one it is. At least I don't see his engine on fire this time, surprisingly. But now NVA, unfortunately, is racing in P11. Oh, that's gotta hurt. How unfortunate.
So we now have a Red Bull P1, P2. Their strategy has gone superb, and that is one thing I love about Duncan Mechanics' team. He's got his team set up so well that he doesn't even he just has to sit back and relax and let his team do the job.
There's a steady practice schedule for the Red Bull drivers throughout the week, and Duncan Mechanics sets his expectations right there and then. As Leo Hudson takes P1 from Christian Cummins, um, curious to see if that was just race pace, and maybe Duncan let them race because both of them are pretty high in the standings as well. Um, but yeah, there's a steady practice schedule and team practice, and Duncan, has his expectations set and um, made very clear throughout the week, and I think the drivers know what to do. And now, when it comes to time to race, as an engineer, and I can tell you from experience, being myself a Red Bull driver, Duncan just gives you the keen formations and knows what kind of calls to make. We're going to say it. Duncan's been in this league quite longer than anybody has been since he started it himself. And so I think a lot of racing experience and strategies, and he does his homework as well and usually makes the right calls. And so far, he had made the right calls, and I would have done the right calls as well. I think NVA had the better strategy until he had that little issue. And going back to NVA, I can't tell if if he came back. I didn't see any message pop up. I think I'm not sure if it's actually him driving or his AI. I think it is him, because if it was his AI, he would have been in. Yeah, I think he would have been ghosted at that point. So yeah.
I'm surprised only Aero has now gone into the pits. As there's a Williams off.
That is Caganus, who's lost his rear end. Oh, he almost gets run into the back by Gibbs as he unghosted right in front of him. And so Caganus loses a couple positions here. And yeah, we're seeing Aero, and he's going to try to make a move here. He's down in P12. He's got nothing to lose. He's going to come out with the intermediate tires right away. There is 13 laps to go, so the inters will bring you till the end of the race. Maybe it's a bit early. Usually the sign is when DRS gets disabled, and I think the Red Bull drivers are going to try to take advantage of that as much as possible, maybe for one last lap here. Stars FPS and P14 also going for the inters. So we'll see when they decide to pit or not. So far, Leo looks like they're staying out. So both Red Bulls are staying out. Christian Cummins is going to have DRS on his teammate as well. So I don't know if he's going to try to go for a switch, or it looks like Leo hasn't had better pace there. So there will not be a switch on this lap. I think this should be the lap they'll be pitting now. And rain looks like it's starting to intensify a little bit. And it's getting greasy out there. Just greasy enough that the rears are really slippery.
Yeah, it does look like OG is now making a bit of progress on Kevin Magnussen, as he did just go a little bit wide. These drivers are definitely struggling, and I'm just looking at the gap with Aero. It's keeping around the same. Maybe Aero's gone a little bit too early, but he's definitely made the call. And yeah, there we are. DRS is now disabled. But it doesn't look wet, like wet enough.
Doesn't look too wet. Absolutely, you're right. And the other question here, the Red Bull drivers are close enough to each other that double stacking is not a favorable strategy. So one of them's got to go in, and it looks like it's going to be Leo going in, and Christian Cummins is going to stay out a lap extra. Ben's also going in. I expect every single driver to go in, and so his strategy is going to be super important here.
And Aaron G has stayed out. Perfect. Okage Roldy with a 5-second time penalty. That is something you do not want to see.
Something else that is shocking, NVA has stayed out again, and he's on 20-lap-old hard tires. Interesting. Both Ferraris have not gone in yet, so maybe they're thinking their tires have enough grip so far, and they're going to be able to go for a little bit longer. But going into Inters should be this lap, unless you're trying to go for an overcut, because now here's the undercut overcut kind of strategies with the pitting. And I think we've seen a terrible mistake from Ben in P5 in the Alpine, by the way. He's come out on medium tires. He's not on inters. He's gonna have to go back in.
Wow, that is something you do need to watch out for. As you do need to change the tyre sets yourself. So
Those are the kind of lessons we learned the hard way, don't we, Freddie?
yeah, it's something I would definitely not do. But there we are. Christian Cummings is now in the pits, and let's see what the gap's going to be like with Leo Hudson.
NVA staying out, so he's gonna gain the lead of the race once again temporarily. Christian's gonna come out just behind him on those fresh tires, and it's especially important to look at where he's gonna come out regarding to his teammate. And we see the undercut here work pretty well. Leo Hudson comes out just in front of him, and his tires are nice and warm compared to Christian Cummins, who the cold tires made him have a little bit of a moment coming out of turn 3 there. That'll be important, having those tires with the right temperature.
Stars.
Oh, it looks like there's a DNF. The stars that is done, and that triggers a safety car. So we're back on a safety car strategy. NVA will be able to have a free pit stop in this moment. And
That's Hokago around.
yeah, also. So
This
given
helps-
the gap currently, I think
NVA.
NVA. Yeah, NVA is still in the hard tire, so he's got to go into the pits to change tires, and that's gonna bring him probably P4, maybe a little bit further back. We'll see how much these drivers really catch up, but that is a great way for him to come back from that incident he had there, that hardware issue or that game crash or whatever he had, where he had to stop racing completely. A bit of luck on his end. Question is, where is he going to come out? And NVA is in the pits. There's somebody else in the pit behind him. It looks like Buffalo Trace. We're down to 13 drivers, Freddie. We started at 18. Okay, we're gonna say 17. I'm not gonna count myself in there. And we've already lost 3 drivers, and so now NVA is gonna be coming out of the pit lane, and he is in P5. And we know he definitely has the pace to probably catch up to the Red Bulls, being having OG and Kevin Magnussen in front of him, drivers where he usually has greater pace than them. But now it's all on wet tires, and so let's see how this unfolds with a little less than 8 laps to go, given the safety car, and there'll be maybe only 6 raceable laps to go by the end of the safety car here. Tire temps and wets and a safety car, super important. Obviously, these drivers keep the temperatures on their intermediate tires. They tend to cool off rather quickly. But knowing that the safety car still got maybe 1 or 2 laps to go, probably see some of these drivers hanging on a little bit. I gotta say, seeing Kevin Magnussen in P3, and I'm just gonna go take a look at the standings. I don't think we're used to seeing him so high up on the grid. As such, the race isn't over just yet, but that's a good showing on him. Good for him for keeping his car on the track. And yeah, Haas is definitely last in the constructors, and he's in P13. And it's a kind of performance like that, if he could potentially end up in the top 5, we might, we'll see him gain multiple places on the grid here, and so that'll be great for him, and definitely would be his best result of the season.
Yep, so can we just point out, right? OGP4, Kevin Magnussen P3.
Yeah. And OG's is he reserve? He's a reserve driver currently, isn't he?
Yes.
And so, I mean, OG's been around for a while as well. He's former broadcaster and former racer, and he knows what he's got to do here. So great on him. This must be an exciting moment for him and Kevin Magnussen as well. I mean, I love seeing these feel-good stories, right?
Yeah.
You see those drivers putting in so much practice, so much time. I know a guy like Kevin Magnussen, all this gives is 100% every single time he races. And look at him, a possible podium position within under 10 laps to go. And safety car will be in this lap. And so we'll have the moment of truth here and how they can do for the rest of the race.
So we do have Aero, who is currently P5, P7 I mean. But with a 3-second time penalty, it will be, it will need to pick up the pace.
Yeah. This is the kind of race where it could really hurt him. He's currently sitting P3 in the... I think my game has crashed on here, but... yeah, everything's frozen. Okay, sorry, but I was saying is Arrow, he's sitting P3 in the current standings. And that could change at the end of this race, possibly with the result Leo Hudson can get, depending on if he takes the win or not. And so that will be something that'll be
Oh
interesting to look at for the
no.
rest of the season.
Oh no. Yeah, so OG and Kevin Magnussen went side by side through turn 1, a lot of contact, look at Magnussen pushed him wide. Kaganis has retired.
Oh my goodness.
You are missing a lot right now.
I'm staring at a frozen screen of Kevin Magnussen right now.
You will have to restart, as it did say you did leave.
Doesn't even want to exit out, but yeah, I got this handle.
Aaron G looking for a move on Aero before Aqua Minerale. Hope I said it right. Oh, a lot of contact as looks like someone's ghosted. Yeah, Aaron G is ghosted, so don't know what happened there. But Rage and Hokago making positions up. They're currently P9, P10. So they'll be going for a move, and looks like Rage is not giving up the P8 position as he backs out of a move.
Alright, and I am back, and indeed a lot of things have changed around here. And OG, by the way, OG is currently sitting P3. He started P16. So definitely our driver of the day. I think no matter what happens at this point, he's done phenomenal this race. Good for him. NVA Sig in P4, and Kevin, who's dropped down positions to P5, but he still gains 4 position. He had started P9 this race, and so top 5 for him is remarkable. Unfortunately, he just grabbed the 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. It looks like NBA is now going to try and get the power down on OG. 5 temps currently, burning all that battery, but so is OG. Rage has made the move. Actually, no, they're going side by side currently through the straight. Looks like Ben is keeping him behind, kind of slowing him down. Chicago Roldy's still got Aaron Green behind him.
But by the looks of things, when we look at the constructors real quick, current positions P9 and P10, Rage and Hokage Worldy, Aston Martin would be definitely surpassing Williams in regards to Constructors' Championship. Williams are going to make minimal points there with Cagnas's DNF and P13. And then there's AlphaTauri, which is only Gibbs I'm seeing that's going to be making points so far. And so they could be potentially on par, if not passing AlphaTauri. And we're nearing the end of the season. This is the final 3 races. This is a crucial race for Constructors.
So MVA has got the move done on OG.
NBA is definitely focused, and this is the part of the race where I'm really wondering what Red Bull's gonna make like move. Christian Cummins currently is in the lead of the drivers' championship, right? Only 10 points ahead of NVA. Now NVA is behind him in P3, and the one that's in P1 is his teammate. And looks like there was a major incident in the back. Is that Kevin Magnussen who's gone around?
That is Kevin and Aero. Aero went over the curb. And it looks like Magnussen's just kind of took him with him. Kind of locked wheels. That will be an incident to look at. And he's got no end plate. That is shocking for Kevin Magnussen. And look, Aero's wing is still in play.
How unfortunate I didn't see that. And I think, does Aero also have damage? No, he's got the full wing as well. And so that's just definitely gonna show here. I think Kevin Magnussen could finish the race without that little end plate there, despite the situation. So that's really unfortunate for him. And he's struggling. He's off the track and dealing a lot with oversteering here. He's got to keep his head down, head cool, and he's back in battle there with Aero, and these two drivers are really all over the track, battling side by side currently. Looks like Aero's going to do the overtake now.
So yeah, we have 3 laps remaining. Kevin Magnussen is now going to be boxing Aston Martin P7, P8 right now as Cargo Roldy has gone off the track slightly. Kevin Magnussen's retired.
So he's going to retire in the pits. Oh,
why has he done that?
He must be so upset, but he knows he's going to finish P12 now.
P12 with only half points as OG gets a 3-second time penalty.
So, I mentioned something earlier, right? Christian Cummins leading the World Championship, potentially able to increase that gap if Leo Hudson slows down and gives him the position. When I said that, they were at about 1.5 seconds, and look at Leo Hudson. It looks like he's slowed down for his teammate, and they're going to do a switch on the straight.
Always an Aston Martin around, and who is that? That looks like it may be Hokage.
It sure is.
Three laps remaining. We have a Red Bull P1, P2. Currently, Leo is winning the race. Sadly, his football team can't do the exact same, so that's a shame. Yeah, followed up by Christian Cummins, who's still on the back of him as they're on the exact same battery. Aero has not Aero, OG has lost a lot of time compared to MVA, and looks like Aero may still actually have some damage. Looks like he's struggling compared to Hokage.
Yeah, and so far, OG, if he could continue like this, despite his 3-second penalty, he will remain P4 because Gibbs is he's behind him by 3.6, and now if you're the AlphaTauri driver, you got a lot of work to do within those next 2 laps to catch up to him, and his engineers got to make him aware of that. So he's trying to cut down a little bit on the gap here, but he's got to make sure that he finishes the race within 3 seconds of OG if he wants to get that P4. Would be a crucial position for him and his World Championship. And he's got to watch out because he's got a hungry out for the Alpine of Ben in P6 currently chasing him down as well. So he's definitely got to pick up the pace, and OG's got to make sure he doesn't reduce his pace, but he's got to bring the car home. No mistakes can be made at this moment. One thing I am noticing though, look at NVA, look at the gap that he has caught up to on the Red Bulls. He's now sitting at 1.7. He was way further than that earlier on. So NVA is showing that he's either got the better setup for this, or he's practiced and mastered the rain here, and he's been gaining on Christian Cummins for a while now.
Yeah, it does look like MVA may have a part of his last lap, but currently Hokkaido Roldy with a 3-second time penalty. Let's just quickly go to penalties. Yep, 8 seconds.
That is going to put him in P10. Oh, wait, hold on. Arrow also has penalties, so he is at 8 seconds. So yeah, that definitely puts him behind a P10, as you mentioned. Look at NVA's gap is now 1.2. For one moment, it was at 1.1. I mean, if this race was gonna last just a couple laps more, NVA would be right up on the gearbox of Christian Cummins. And I can tell you, those Red Bulls drivers cannot wait for this race to end. And this is the final lap. Rebel Boys used most of the ARS, so has NVA. OG currently, unfortunately, lost that gap to Gibbs, and so Gibbs is at 2.8 seconds. OG with a 3-second time penalty would fall down to P5 if the race were to finish as in. But look at his gap increase on the straight line, so that might be his redemption here. He's got to be clean outside of this chicane to get that time. Meanwhile, Leo Hudson's in P1, going around the very final corner in turn 18. Is he going to give some space to Christian? He does not. He boots the ERS, and he's going to go across the line. Leo Hudson is our race winner in Imola. Christian Cummins finishes in P2. An incredible recovery drive for NVA, who had a major moment with his car earlier this race, and he finishes P3 to finish the podium. OG just barely is able to get a better gap on Gibbs, and so he's going to get P4. An absolutely monstrous drive, definitely driver of the day. OG going from, I believe, P16 to P4, and Gibbs is gone in P5, and that will be our top 5. Freddie, I'm going to set ourselves up for our interview drivers and let them know when we're ready for the interviews.
Absolutely hectic race right there. Where did OG finish again?
He finishes P4. All right, so we already have NVA in the waiting room. Freddie, I will bring him in onto the broadcast booth. Would you like to ask him the first question as well?
No.
All right. NVA, our P3 finisher in this race. NVA, you were setting yourself up for a really interesting battle with the Red Bull boys. You seem to have the better strategy on hand. And then suddenly we're seeing you slow down on the main straight. Talk us through that. What was happening? Was that a Ferrari engine situation or a hardware issue? What was going on?
Nah, this game's just a piece of fucking shit. Game crashed when I'm 4 seconds in the lead. I come back and I'm in like P12. Not much I can fucking do. I was
Yeah,
cushion up at the
unfortunately.
end. I mean, I had pace to win, and just can't do shit because game is completely fucking unoptimized.
Yeah, frustrating moment, most definitely. Um, However, we're nearing the end of the season. I remember last week in Austria, you felt very confident towards the championship. Now we've got two races left in Canada, and then in Saudi Arabia and Jeddah. I mean, nothing is lost here officially. You still gained a good number of points being in P3. Are you still as confident you could get that championship if the game doesn't crash, of course?
I mean, Imola was one of my stronger tracks. I was really confident for at least a win here. In all honesty, so it just hurts to see that. We'll see what I can do in the last two races, but it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, most definitely. And unfortunately, this is part of what Codemasters gave us as a master product here. But thank you for the interviews, and we'll see you next week in Canada.
Yeah, peace.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit
Never
of
heard.
frustration from our Ferrari driver with reason. With reason, while we wait for the RP to in the waiting room real quick.
Well,
I've lived that kind of situation. I don't know if you've seen it or if you were in the league at the time, but season finale, literally the last race of the season, I could have won the championship. In Singapore, the game crashes, throws my car into the wall, and I DNF, and that ended my championship back then. And I believe it was Division 3. I think it was season 2 or 3. Um, so I understand the heartbreak when the game does what the game does. Christian
no.
Cummins is in the waiting room. We will bring him in.
We might as well get
Christian
both of them in.
Cummins,
Yeah.
our P2 finisher, had an incredible pace out there in Imola. Walk us through, how did the strategies played out, and with the rain being factored in suddenly, how did you guys handle this?
Well, I mean, that I can tell you that first safety car definitely screwed me a little bit, but I'm happy with the finish. I mean, having to pit that early wasn't nice, but that rain, I just wanted it to come sooner. It just kept taking so long to get here.
I was the opposite. I was hoping for it to take longer, but yeah, it did that, and it worked out for me quite well.
I'm noticing you're in here as well, and I think there is one question we want to ask you guys, and I mentioned it in the broadcast as well. Was there a Max Verstappen moment and from Brazil in Drinding's race? I think Leo Hudson, you might have had the opportunity to give the P1 to Christian Cummins, who's currently battling with NVA in the championship. Was that discussed at all during the race?
I was just told to race my race, so that's what I did.
Yeah, I had to earn it. I'm not gonna steal that from him.
But yeah, the crucial bit was to try and get ahead of him before the rain hit. So I have to follow him through every single overtake, which then worked out for the best.
Right, because very clearly after the rain, or before the rain came in, I believe you guys were told to push because you started making overtakes after that safety car
Yeah,
in a much more
Yep.
aggressive manner than you would usually do during this race. So that was the given orders, wasn't it?
yeah.
All right, Freddie, I'm seeing you messaging some other people. Are we gonna have more people in the for interviews?
We see, we're gonna get Mr. OG, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
we'll
Red
keep
Bull
him for
1-2s in
the
one
end.
season, man. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it is very mental.
It's a dynamic duo.
I've actually lost count how many 1-2s you guys have had together. So
The second one.
Yeah, partners in crime, man.
Definitely, guys. So, final question before bringing OG in for closing interviews. 2 races left. My hometown, Montreal, in Canada.
Boo.
and then Saudi Arabia, Jeddah circuit. How are you guys planning to tackle those two tracks with a very motivated and angry NVA who definitely was not happy with his game crash earlier today that cost him potentially a race win.
I guess we just
Yeah.
have to beat him just to win the championship. and
Yeah,
secure
I
it.
mean, hey,
Yeah,
Red Bull 1-2 here on out for sure. I'll say that first, but also NBA got kind of bailed out there with that safety car at the end, so he got the luck handed back to him after his game crash. So
yeah, interesting.
I'll leave it
So
at
that's,
that.
yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. So thank you guys for the interview. Congratulations on the Red Bull 1-2. Spectacular finish on your end here at this point. And we'll see you next week in Montreal.
We'll do.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Thank you, boys.
So yeah, that was Red Bull. Another P1, P2, solid work. They've been absolutely amazing for Red Bull in Division 4 this season. But it's a main event, John. We've got to get Mr. OG in here.
Of course.
Been
The
out right now.
OG.
Oh, what's up, fellas? What is up, fellas?
What is up, Mr. OG? P4
You know,
in your back
I'm
race.
okay. I feel like I could have done a little bit better. Bottle job there. Should maybe could have got a podium. But you know, first things first, we got to shout out a couple people. The Weary Knight, Connor L, and Chatter Catter, whatever his name is. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know, I would die for these people. So I'm glad they're out here supporting me.
Was definitely OG, and I must say, many seasons ago, I don't know if you even remember, but I remember you being in that broadcast booth and interviewing me when I started racing in this league not so long, well, quite a couple of seasons ago now, and it's definitely an honor for me to be in the opposite situation,
Hey,
being able to
yeah,
interview you. Definitely happy to see you back, and you know, reserving from time to time. And I gotta say, that was a spectacular performance in Imola. So a lot of support from people around your end. And how did you play out through the strategy, through the safety cars, and the rain? There was a lot of piss off strategies that needed to be played out in Imola tonight. So how did you navigate through all of those different kind of situations?
Well, I like first of all, like that first safety car. Well, at lap one, I don't even know what happened. I got bumped, turn around, and so I was in the back. And so I told myself if safety car comes out, you know, I'm not on the hards, but I'm on the mediums. I feel like I can make him go like 20 some laps. So I'll just go as far as they'll take me. And I knew there was rain coming, and I felt really confident the first half of the rain, and then like even a couple laps before NVA passed me, and then I kind of fell apart there at the end. So I don't know if I overheated my tires or what, but I feel like I could have maybe done a little bit better, but I'm happy with the result.
Most definitely was despite everything, and you being a reserve driver, I don't know if was this the last minute reserve, or had you planned this early in the week and had time to even practice for Imola?
You know, I see myself as a Buffalo apprentice, so you know, I'm in the Alfa Romeo garage quite often. I have a little deal with them that if they need a reserve, um, that I'll reserve with them, and I won't reserve with anyone else. So like if some random guy picks up and reserves for them, I'm not just gonna go to another team. So I'm really, you know, I sit back every once in a while. I'll hit the Alfa Romeo car, um, and so yeah, it today wasn't too spontaneous. I kind of knew I was gonna do it once I woke up this morning, but you know, next week I really don't know week to week.
Interesting. So we might see you again
Yeah, you
for the
could, you
final two
couldn't. I don't
races,
know. Who
or could
knows?
not.
It depends. It depends. Where are we racing next week, fellas? What's going on next week?
Next race, we're in Montreal.
Next race, you get to see Freddie
Canada.
Rizal return.
I've oh
No, you don't.
I gotta. Well, we need a Freddie Rizal. We need a Freddie Rizal, Buzzcod, and OG. We need them all back on the same grid, I think.
And on the
But
same team.
Montreal, all right. I think you know I need to redeem myself. Last time I threw away podium last time I was there, so I got to redeem myself. We'll be good to go.
Interesting. So that means an OG is going to be ready to go if needed
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
Alfa Romeo and possible redemption in Montreal. Well, thank you for your time with us. I don't know if Freddie, you had a final question for it.
Oh, I do. Um, I've actually completely lost it.
Hey man, I got a
all
question
right,
for you.
go on.
If I pop over, am I invited for the little lads holiday in July?
Whoa. We're not allowed to talk about that,
Whoa.
mister. But no, I've got it back. Will we see you back on the grid next season?
No, he will not.
Oh, okay, well.
Not as a full-time driver, but as a reserve, most definitely.
Well, that's not what I wanted to hear, so you can go away now.
All right.
How
Adios,
unfortunate.
fellas.
Alright, well, Ranger, that is it. Thank you for joining my stream broadcast.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting and slightly hectic broadcast with the game crashing and throwing me in a car and whatnot. But this is the quality stream that we give with a quality game like Codemasters F1, and it is what it is. But it was much fun broadcasting with you, Freddie, and thank you for putting in a lot of time in regards to broadcasters. I think it's not mentioned enough that you do a good job in regards to planning the broadcasters, and I have no problem saying that on stream as well. And to our viewers and followers, tune in for our next race tomorrow. Division 3 is starting at 8 p.m. in Imola. Will we also have rain? We will find out. Division 2 will follow shortly after at 10 p.m. Eastern Time as well.
Well, you heard it here, folks. So, once again, thank you for joining in with Division 4 stream. It is always a shit show, but this week it weren't. But however, we have, like John just said, Division 4, Division 3, Division 2 tomorrow, and follow up with the main event, Division 1, on a Sunday night. So